think the end goal is for right now? What is the end goal? What are we trying to accomplish right now?
I mean, for me personally, I can't speak for anybody other than myself. And what I want to be here to do is to listen to voices, and if people want to listen to me talk, which apparently y'all do want to listen to me talk, I will use my voice, but right now it is not my time to talk. So
can I speak? Can I give you my opinion?
Absolutely.
I honestly think that in America, people of color, and there are bad instances that happen, but people of color and lesbian, gay, transgender people are the most safest in this country. You wanna know why?
Why?
Because if you go outside the country, we can talk about that. You go to any other country, like in the Middle East, you go to some countries in Africa, they will hang you for being gay. They will chop your head off. And right now, there's countries in Libya right now. Libya, there's Arabs using black men as slaves, and that is something that I think we should talk about.
There's no safe place for trans.
But yeah. Just because the Middle East is more dangerous does not mean that America is safe for black people.
Do you think our words and our message? Do you think our message gets out there to other people around the world so that they acknowledge us in our struggles?
No, I really don't. Right now, we've got Donald Trump tweeting that we are domestic terrorists. We have people twisting the message all the time.
There are people like protesting all around the world right now. The world is
so unfortunately, the message will and does get twisted.
What do you think is, from your perspective, and I know you're white, but what do you think has hurt the black community the most?
Man, I don't know.
What do you think has hurt the black community the most?
For me, it's people's ignorance.
No, I mean, what do you? All right. What do you think has hurt the black community in terms of success? Because there's a lot of criminal justice. Our criminal justice system is messed up. What do you think has been a big damper on our children that needs to be fixed?
I swear, it's just a lot of roadblocks after roadblocks after roadblocks, and if you get to one, then you face another one. So, like for example, if a black man or a female doesn't get shot, you know, and then that person is in prison. The one guy last night who was cussing and stuff and quite angry, he was talking about him being inside that building. I mean, if someone's not shot or dead, and then they're locked up in prison, and then they're in a long list of repetition and building blocks, and that just goes down a deep hole.
Now, from my perspective, I grew up in Seattle. My mom was a single mother, and my dad, he sold drugs, and he's been to prison, so he missed a part of my life. And I know my dad now. Honestly, for me, I think the biggest struggle for the black community is the high rate of single motherhood. And back in the 60s, I heard that it was really low, around 60%. They used to call that very high. I think what is the biggest threat to the black community is the breakdown of family, because kids growing up, they follow the rap music, they follow the trends, and then they follow a lot of the stuff they see on TV. So a lot of the times kids think that's okay, and then a lot of times they end up in a bad system. Like me, I sold drugs as a kid. You know what I'm saying? I've been through that system, so I had to do what I had to do to help. Yes.
Did you do that because you felt like it was a hobby, or did you do it because you
I had to provide for my mama?
Okay, that's what's wrong. Your mom should have never had, like, we have a for-profit prison system, so it benefits people to put people in jail, and you know, segregation, the society is still very segregated, so you've got a whole group of people who are just gnarled by this system, and they're put in prison to put out fires for 10 cents an hour or something.
Yeah, what laws do you think contributed to the what do you call that? How do you say locking up of black men? What do you think? What laws do you think have contributed to that? Huh? Mass incarceration. You talking about the Crime Bill '94, written by Joe Biden?
Yeah.
Well, I'm also talking about Ronald Reagan. I'm talking about Ronald Reagan. He rescheduled weed to put hippies into jail, and he put crack cocaine into black communities. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I'm an old guy. and it goes back even further than that. The biggest problem for you as a young man, and I think what you're all saying, is access to education, access to a good education. Because even a child that grows up in a single mother's home in a white neighborhood, they still have access to education. Chances are that their mother went to college are very high. Chances of my mother, your mother going to college are very low, and we don't have access to that. We are put in public schools. I'm sorry, I'm not part of the group.
No, you're part of the group. Yeah, this is.
We're forced to go to public schools that are underfunded, and they don't receive the same resources as the schools in the nicer neighborhoods. I didn't grow up here, but when I moved here 5 years ago, I was shocked at the difference between Ballard High School and between Garfield High School. They make the building shiny, don't get me wrong, they make the building shiny at Garfield, but they don't make inside where it matters, it's not.
So for me, growing up, racism for me, see, my mama taught me, like growing up in school, I used to get bullied as a kid in my school. I have eczema, and people used to make fun of me, call me all different types of names. So what my mama taught me, she said, look, people are gonna talk as much as they want, but at the end of the day, sticks and stones may hurt your bones. So I can apply the same aspect to racism. You have people that are white, they can sit in their corner and hate all day, but is that gonna stop me from making my money? Can I get a clap?
Shouldn't, man. It's a broken system.
Now, for me, growing up, no matter what, I was homeless before. There was a time that I was homeless. One thing I do appreciate about this country is that there's a lot of opportunity for people, and I think that a lot of people who say they can't make it, who want to victimize themselves, are not applying themselves. I'm saying as people who don't think
I remember redlining.
I think everybody can.
When I started my first business back in the 80s in Seattle, I could not get a loan from a bank, except for one bank, the Evergreen Bank down on the Rainier. But I had to go to a bank that was owned.
The system was.
I went to 5, 6 banks. I even went to Wells Fargo where I banked, and no one would give me a loan. That has nothing to do with that. What it has to do with is education. When you get education, you get people that are brown and black and all the other people of color, Latino. Sí. Oh, ¿su papá? Yo soy mexicano, chicano. Sí. Pero, well, what happens if you get education in the school that's equal, and I'm not talking about the building. They make all the buildings shiny. That's the way the white man does it. He makes the building shiny and he thinks you have an equal education. They give you a swimming pool right next door to the school. Now you have an equal education, equal opportunity. You don't, because when you go in that school, you don't see yourself teaching the classes. You see yourself cleaning the floors or typing in the secretarial pool.
Okay,
that's who you see there.
Okay.
You go. I've walked into schools in Seattle, and on the bulletin board on career day, there's nothing but white people. Actually, it wasn't Seattle. This was in Colorado. But there's nothing but white people in the doctor's outfits and in the business suit carrying that attaché. No, you see the brown guy is carrying the toolbox. And until that changes, because then when that changes, then when you get higher education that's equal, then you get people in the bank. Then they start to run the bank. And then when you go in, they don't separate you.
What do you think about the college debt?
Well said, well said.
What do you think about the college debt of people who've got degrees but still not able to get jobs that they wanted because of the saturation of degrees? What do you think about the college debt?
That's a problem too.
The college debt, that all goes back, and again, I'm an old guy. You remember Reagan. That all goes back. That was privatization. Because there was when I went to college, there was a wonderful public program to go to school. School in San Francisco, college was free back then. Yeah. You know, but then the banks realized we're not making any money at this. So let's go to Ronald Reagan. He's the one who started most of this crap. Go to Ronald Reagan and let's make it a private thing. So the same things happened with my small business now with the Paycheck Protection Program and all of that. You know, the government didn't administer that. They gave it to the banks to administer. That's the way the white man does it. And that way the banks, my bank, I didn't get a PP loan. But you know what? Because I bank at Chase Bank with my business, but they gave it to all the big banks. Because those big companies and corporations have to be able to pay back those big loans. I don't have big loans.
Do you think they should have deindustrialized the high schools and allowed people to keep to earn? Because I heard from my godfather, you was able to become a plumber, you was able to become an electrician, not electrician, you was able to do like trade work. They took that away. Do you think that affected?
Right now, I'm in the construction business, and if you want to be paid more than a doctor in 10 years, you tell your children to become electricians and plumbers, because there's nobody doing it right now. But you still have to have an education to be a plumber or an electrician, to be able to make it a business, to be the business owner. You have to have an education.
How long do you think it takes to become a plumber?
It takes 5 years in the apprenticeship program, but you're paid the whole time. See, when my people were coming out, my people didn't understand the idea of compounding interest in the banks, right? You borrow $100, they charge you 10% interest. My grandfather thought when they come to get their money, it's going to be $110. He didn't understand compounding daily on the entire balance. So they let him ride for a few years, and they came to get him for the $100. He was down $325.
I have a buddy who's in college, and I heard that some of the colleges, they're teaching like these programs about how to whisper to animals and dogs, or they're teaching stuff that people can't really make money off of. So I feel like a lot of the colleges are scamming kids. And then I heard that people who are teaching business have never actually owned a business. So they're teaching a business how to get a business, but never really owned a business. I think the biggest scam is, yeah, you're right. Exactly. I think the biggest scam is the people that are trying to teach business, that are getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to teach that business, and at the same time, none of these kids are coming out with their own businesses. What do you think should be the solution to that?
That allowed you to teach like that was set up to protect the people that were already doing it. It's just like the Architects Association. Most professions have a guild that protects them, and their biggest job is to keep everybody else from being able to do that, from going through an apprenticeship program and getting what they need done. So they went to the colleges and said the only way you can be an architect is if you go to school for 5 years. Not learn how to be an architect, you have to go to school for 5 years, right? There are a whole bunch of doctors out there that got C's and D's in medical school, but we don't know that, right? We don't know that. Everybody's a doctor, so they're good. I'll shut up now. I'm sorry.
What is your name?
Yeah.
¿Cómo te llamas?
Miguel.
Miguel?
Sí.
Ramiro.
¿Cubano?
Cubano, sí, I'm half.
Su papá.
Huh?
Su papá?
No, mi madre, mis abuelos son cubanos.
Sí.
Yeah. You see a little bit.
Hey, mucho gusto.
We're black Latinos, bro.